Alright, hello and welcome back to the Quarter Circle Forward podcast. Sorry for the long delay between the episodes. It's been a bit of a tough challenge trying to get, me and George in the same time, same place kind of thing. And obviously since I came back from Spain, I started up university again and it's been a bit hard to find some free time. But anyway, we are back, and if you want to introduce yourself.
Yes, I am George, resident fighting game pseudo expert, and this is Mickey, resident fighting game maybe pseudo expert.
Okay, all right. I'm not the expert here. I think that's actually something we should talk about. That's quite interesting. I think what I'd like to do with these podcasts is at the intro, we should ask each other a bit of a personal question every time, and maybe we get more personal.
I like the sound of that.
And then like 20 episodes in, we're like, asking each other our bank details and stuff, and then
What's the last three numbers on your mum's credit card?
Yeah, what's your mother's maiden name, by the way? But no. So my question to you, George, is how did you get into fighting games?
That is quite a good question, and depends entirely on whether you consider Smash a fighting game. So I started watching, after finding out how much I loved Smash, a lot of videos of EVO, as a lot of us do. Fantastic fighting game tournament. I'm sure you're aware of it if you've ever played a fighting game. And as YouTube tends to do, you have a recommended bar, and mine started to fill up very quickly with Street Fighter
algorithm
videos. Oh yeah, the algorithm got me into fighting games. There we go.
Wow, YouTube algorithm did something good.
Exactly. It was amazing. I started watching these videos of people playing these characters I was vaguely aware of.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I had no idea what was going on, but it was so intense. People were yelling. James Chen was screaming on the microphone. It was fantastic. But as time went on, I watched more and more. I didn't play it yet. I thought maybe a step too far. The fighting games had a bit of a reputation for being difficult, but it got there eventually. Street Fighter 4 was on sale for like £5 because it was at that point 20 years old.
I mean, yeah,
it's an old game.
Like Street Fighter 4, it still weirds me out. It came out 2008. Like what? I went back and played it recently. Oh man, it looks good as new, honestly.
Yeah, the game
aged well.
The art style of the game makes it age very well.
Yeah,
the characters, it can be not the prettiest, but it definitely holds up today.
Yeah.
And
anyway,
as a result, the game is somewhat timeless. I loved it. But from there, I just sort of kept watching, played the game a bit. I was terrible. Everyone's terrible when they start, but I was hooked beyond belief.
Interesting.
How about you then, Mickey?
Alright, yeah. So, well, you see, I'm a bit of a weeaboo, if you will. At least I was definitely more of a weeaboo before. And look, I know where this is going, but I used to play a lot of like the 3D fighters, so a lot of the like Dragon Ball, like Budokai Tenkaichi games. I remember I played a lot of the Naruto games as well when they were like started coming out quite a lot on like, the Xbox 360. And this is when I was like really into like Naruto, like Dragon Ball and stuff. And like slowly by playing those kind of games, I also found ones that were like 2D versions of like those anime fighters. So I found there was this one game I remember I had on my PSP. I will have to find the name of it, but it was a PSP Dragon Ball fighting game, and it was a 2D one. And I don't know what it was about it, but I just loved it, and I just played through like the entire story mode. And obviously, like then, like the PSP I think this was like in the infancy of like wireless internet and stuff like that. So I never really got a chance to like play it online or anything like that. But I did definitely really like the style of the 2D fighting games and stuff.
Yeah.
And I still play a lot of the 3D ones, and obviously they're not really. It's hard to call them fighting games, but that's how I kind of got into it. And then there was one day I was looking on Steam, looking for some new games to buy, and surprisingly I found I think it was a game on sale. It was. Well, let me get it up. I mean, it's a BlazBlue game, but I can never remember which one it was. Yes.
Is
BlazBlue
it the
Chrono? It was the first one. Let me. Okay, no.
Chrono
it was
Fantasma,
Continuum Shift Extend, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that was the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I don't know. it just appealed to the weeaboo inside me. I saw Ragnar's design, and I'm like, that's my character. And I was like, okay. And I was accustomed to playing 2D fighters from like this Dragon Ball game, and I was like, I wonder how it translates. Like, you know, I haven't played one of those in years, you know, and I obviously didn't have my PSP anymore. So I picked it up and just started playing through like story mode and stuff. At this point, I still didn't really know about like the fighting game community or, you know, the like competitiveness that comes with it.
Yeah.
And you know, it was kind of weird. Like, I just sort of played it, and then as I like went through all the mission modes and all the story modes, I found like the combo like trials, and I was like, oh, this is kind of really fun. And so I'd spend like hours a day just like labbing like all these all these combos, and I'd be like, oh, this is sick. And then I'd be like, oh, I wonder if like anyone else has done some cooler combos. So then I'd, you know, YouTube like trying to find some cool like BlazBlue combos videos, and then I'd be like, oh, this is sick. And then from there, I obviously, again, YouTube's algorithm probably helped. I'd see like tournaments of, you know, BlazBlue, and I was like, oh, okay, got intrigued. I'd watch them, and then I went through a phase where that's like all I watched. I just watched really old like BlazBlue tournaments, you know, like I think
the classic.
I can't remember if it was like Evo at the time, or, you know, I think at the time Evo was still in its like infancy, so it wasn't that big. But yeah, that's kind of just what got me into it. After that, I was like kind of hooked on 2D Fighter, and from there on, it just became falling down the rabbit hole of like playing all these anime 2D fighters. And then I think it really, when we lived together, you know, a couple of years ago, that's when it really like blossomed. Like, I didn't really. I never thought of myself as like a fighting game player. Like, I like fighting games. I definitely like playing them, but I never dedicated myself to them. But then, surprisingly, I mean, it makes sense, right? When you got someone else in your house that loves playing fighting games as well, and fighting games work best when you're playing with two people. So, it was just too easy, like, to play locally for hours on end, and like, obviously, if anyone who's played fighting games, you know, competitively or, you know, pseudo-competitively before, you know how satisfying they are to like learn and get good at. And I guess I really like that formula of like, you know, getting good at a fighting game, learning the mechanics, doing combos, getting better at like execution and stuff.
It's comparable to a sport, really.
Like, I mean, well, it's funny enough you should ask. I mean, we can go on like a whole other topic about this, but obviously I do a combat sport, so I do kickboxing like with a lot of my free time. And the parallels that fighting game draws to, you know, real life combat sports is like incredibly like close. Like, I could use aspects in both that I've learned, and it's kind of interchangeable, you know. Like, you do have mix-ups, you know, in real life. Kickboxing, you got mix-ups, you know, you got like
you ain't blocking this 50-50.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think there's fuzzy blocking, unfortunately, or anything like that. There's no option select.
Leap into the air and punch someone like top of their head.
Yeah, I can't hit them with a launcher and then, you know, continue and then get the knockdown, get the Oki. But a lot of the neutral, for example, neutral, I think translates quite well into combat sports. And I don't want to go too far into depth. I think like, you could do a whole video on this, and I'm, you know, maybe in the future I will.
It's not a bad idea, actually.
But because I mean, that's like content I haven't actually seen before. You know, the parallels between combat sports and, you know, fighting games. Yeah, because I mean that's basically what they're based off, right? Of, you know, if you think about Street Fighter, is literally just two martial artists like beat each other up, you know.
Street Fighter 1, you have one character, they're identical, and honestly, it's a massive parallel.
Yeah, that was all depth you needed.
In a way, you can say Street Fighter 1 is the most authentic fighting game, right? Like,
I mean, it is technically the most fair.
Shame it sucks, but
yeah,
I mean, you know, it was
that's not aged well, I think.
No.
Alright.
But
yeah, I think
we both, you know, coming together on it was a big part of what kept me involved. Got me far further down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's one way to talk about it.
Man, I loved it. And
I mean,
I love it to this day. There's nothing like it, is the big thing for me. The community is fantastic. Everyone is lovely. And it's just more, you know, people are more involved in it, I find, in other communities.
Yeah, I think for sure. I think if we start by saying, you know, so like you say you love them, but what about the fighting games do you love? Like, what is it? Is it like, you know, the 1v1 aspect, just the like, I don't know, character designs, or like the gameplay loop, or what is it?
It's everything, but mostly for me, it's seeing your research you're labbing, everything about what you're doing paying off in a match. Like hitting that combo for the first time after spending 2 hours in training mode hitting it, there's nothing quite like that.
Yeah.
There's something sort of special about it, and it was just one of the most satisfying things in video games, period.
Yeah.
I think not only that, but the sort of the mind game that comes with it as well, I find super satisfying. Getting inside someone's head is not a concept unique to fighting games, but definitely manifests itself more pronounced in fighting games than anything else. On top of that, I love, as a games, I think fighting games have better character designs than most other games.
Yeah.
I think it's something they really succeed in because it's the core of the game, really.
You got to look at these two characters. There's not really else. I mean, obviously you got stages, but for the most part, that's what you're looking at, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so they do an awful good job of it. Like, look at Guilty Gear. That game has beautiful character designs.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's a theme that continues across pretty much every fighting game.
Yeah.
On top of that, I could go on forever in this section. I feel the games are made for me.
There's so much to say that you enjoy about them, right? It's just...
Oh, yeah.
Like, for me, the big part of it is just like... I'm a bit of a competitive person. And, I've played other competitive games before, but fighting games, it's a one-on-one. Like, it is... It's you beating the shit out of someone else or getting beating the shit out of yourself,
Yeah.
It's brutal and I love it, and I don't know, it's so interesting when you've got no one else to blame, nothing else to blame apart from your own skill level. And I feel like it's very hard to achieve that in any other game.
Yeah.
Any other style of game, I should say. So obviously you got MOBAs, and I've played a lot of those too, and I got decently good at them, but there are some times where it really is just a case of there was nothing you could do. Whereas in fighting games, it's like the opposite. It's like there's always something you can do. Like you missed that anti-air, like that's on you. Like you got burst baited. Well, you could have held it. Waited. Things like that. And for me, it is kind of like I like it. The thing I love most is probably the competitive aspect, I think.
Yeah.
The character designs do come into it quite a lot. Because obviously, like, there are other fighting games I've tried where none of the character designs actually appeal to me, like, even though they're all unique and stuff. So something like Skullgirls, actually, I quite like Skullgirls, like, watching it. But I find it hard to play because none of the character archetypes or character designs, like, appeal to me.
That's fair.
And so there's no character I would enjoy playing that much. I'd enjoy playing the game because of the mechanics and, the uniqueness of it.
It's a very sound game,
Yeah. But I think that's, again, why I kind of, I guess, gravitated towards the anime fighters over, stuff like Street Fighter, is because of, like, the really out there character designs that really appeal to my weeaboo side.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'd say I'm the opposite. I like the sort of the muted character designs, I guess.
Yeah,
Something like Tekken, I think, has fantastic character designs. And I just love them. But something else I completely neglected to mention is fighting games are hype. More than any other game. Fighting games create exciting moments. It's something they are designed to do, and they do it goddamn well. In every aspect, the comeback mechanics are designed for hype. The fact you can win from a sliver of health, wherein a lot of other competitive games, if you're miles behind, there's almost no chance of coming back, right?
Yeah, it's
in fighting games it's a lot more likely. And
in fighting games,
I think that's genius design.
If you've got a small amount of health, it's like you still, like, the amount of neutrals you win is pretty much the same throughout the entirety of the game. So say if your opponent's at full health and you got 1 health, even if you're at 100% health, you still have to win that many neutrals to actually win the game. So it doesn't change, like, your health doesn't actually change, like, much about your gameplay. Obviously it can do, like, the enemy has a lot more options the lower health you are. They can go for like unsafe instant overheads and stuff like that, because obviously it's a lot harder it's a
close
very small punish.
Right,
it's a very small punish, but it's very easy, like, to catch someone off.
Like, you're more likely to read something like that as well. It's
true. Which,
there are ways around it, and that also plays more into the mental game of it, right? Like, the way you play at low health is different.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
unique. But
Oh yeah, that is something I neglected. I think you did mention it, but I forgot to mention. Yeah, like while I like the aspect of fighting games in like as a, like an executional thing, like you get good at it, and then you see someone anti-air, you anti-air someone jumping in, and it feels so good when you hit it, consistently. But like it's the mind games for me as well. I'm a big like big brain player. I don't know if I should say that, but I love the idea of
I'll let you have it.
Outbraining, like 200 IQ playing someone, and I feel like fighting games is like the perfect avenue for that, because like again you get the hard reads, you do all this and it just feels so good, because normally you get rewarded like hugely for like making a I guess a ballsy play, but if it's on like on a read or something, and that's something I really enjoy, like picking up on people's habits and like exploiting those. Like that's kind of the competitive aspect that I love. It's like it's also like a mental game, it's like a game of chess, if you will. It's got that element to it.
It's chess boxing of all things.
Boxing.
Yeah. The best.
I still can't believe that's a sport, by the way.
I love it. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's amazing to me that a game that allows for that sort of play can even be designed. Like,
yeah,
the way it
seems like
everything is so focused. But I don't know. Anything else you love about fighting games? Just everything, like.
Yeah, I feel like the learning process of fighting games. I mean, I know there is a stigma that fighting games are hard, and
yes,
I guess we'll go over to this topic. I think it's probably a good idea to go into. Like, I like learning. I think most people do, even if they don't actually know it. You get a huge satisfaction of learning something, and then getting rewarded for your efforts. Yeah, fighting games gives you that in like spades. Because there's so many things to learn. But even the simplest things, if you get them right, are really satisfying, because you're like just smacking the guy. If you anti them with like crouching heavy punch, it feels amazing. Like if you're Ryu, you like punch them in the gut and they like fly up in the air. It's just like, oh, it's amazing. And
it's a very human
that
thing.
Is something I love about it. Is just like like the learning process of fighting games. Like I love picking up a new fighting game, going out, doing this tutorial, trying out a character, and then just throwing myself out there and trying to do my best like online, and
definitely.
But obviously, it's seen as like there's obviously a barrier to entry with fighting games. I think there's a lot of stigma, and I think that's the worst part, because I think it's unjust.
To an extent, definitely.
Because I don't think getting into a fighting game is any harder than getting into any other game if you've never played it before,
I tend to agree. I think there are elements of fighting games that are harder than other similar competitive games, but the areas of difficulty in fighting games are a lot different, I guess. You think about sort of the main parts of learning something like competitive CSGO, right?
Sure.
It's not the neutral game, it's not the mental game that's hard about CSGO. It's learning maps, it's learning gun spreads, it's learning like different tactical advantages you can use.
Yeah.
Whereas in fighting games, like it's a lot vaguer concepts you have to learn in fighting games, I guess.
I see, yeah.
Or like more encompassing concepts. And it's not any harder or less hard. It might be a harder thing to grasp for some people, I guess, which I think is completely fair. But I can see why it is a barrier to entry, I guess.
Well,
unfortunately, there's not really a way around it by making the mechanics easier.
Yeah, I don't think better tutorials are a solution. It's not a solution. Yeah.
You could go through the best tutorial of your life, and if you haven't learned how neutral works, you're still going to get slammed by someone who's better than you. Like,
yeah,
there's no other way that goes, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of a shame and kind of the appeal. And I, for one, love it. I like that process of getting smacked around a bunch and then eventually winning. I think that's a lot of fun. But I understand why it's frustrating for some people. You feel like you should be improving, but you're getting hit by the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
And it can
I guess
be annoying.
you should learn like at that point, right? but you need to know how to beat it. I think that's the hard part.
Yeah.
So I think I'll go back to your comparison with CS:GO.
Yeah.
I do agree with you in that sense, but if we're talking about advanced concepts, so in CS:GO, like, what is the objective of the game? You're basically trying to plant a bomb. I mean, outside of the actual map objectives, you're trying to kill the opposite person, right?
Yeah.
And you do that by moving a character, aiming, and shooting, and that's the basic concepts. In fighting games, the basic concept of how to learn to play the game is you want to get your opponent's health bar to 0. How do you do that? You hit your buttons, and you block and you try not to lose, I guess, and you try to keep your health above 0. And so while I think you're right in the sense of in CS:GO to get better, you learn like maps, spreads, you practice shooting guns, like accuracy, stuff like that. And with fighting games, it's very much the same. Like you practice your neutrals, your things, but your other throw technique, whatever, labbing, combos, execution. I think at a basic level, the core concepts are very similar. If you sit down with someone, if you've ever seen someone, I think, play like a first-person shooter who've never played a first-person shooter in their life, try and watch them move around and aim at the same time. It blows their mind, right? And in fighting games, it's the same thing. I think it's because people aren't introduced into fighting games normally, at a very casual level. They don't grasp the basic concepts. And the basic concepts in fighting games are simple. You just got to hit your opponent with a move.
Not get hit.
Don't get hit. And then, and the most basic, I think, of neutrals in fighting games is use a poking normal, and then use an anti-air when they jump in. And those are the two things you can teach someone, and they'd probably, as long as they understand, or with enough practice, they'd probably be able to hit someone, even who is better than them,
Yeah,
if they can react to someone jumping in, they could probably hit a 2H and react in time, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I mean when I was saying that at a basic level, I think they are similar processes of learning. But I think
I see,
in terms of advanced concepts, which I mean, for people to get into, they're not necessarily essential to being good at the game. This is I'll move on to it later because I've been playing a lot of BB Tag recently. There are some concepts in that game I still don't understand and I don't even use. I try to avoid like the plague. But that doesn't necessarily make me I can't get so good at doing other stuff. It just means that I can't press my advantage as much, or I basically I'm playing at a disadvantage, but it doesn't mean I'm not a bad player sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think there's something we're both getting at here is that the basics of fighting games, sort of the fundamental core of it, is not in the gamer muscle memory, I guess.
No.
Is the way the words.
Yes, I think it is.
If you think about a shooter, or you think about any platformer, most people who have played a video game in your life know how to do the basics of it, right?
Yeah.
Most people know I hold right. Genuinely, you want to go to the right edge of the screen if you're in a platformer, and if you're in a shooter, you want to shoot your opponents. They usually have a red outline or some sort of aim. Yeah. There's not really that for the key components of a fighting game, right?
No.
Your average person probably hasn't played a fighting game.
Yeah.
And as a result,
more abstractly, like I said, I think most people play a shooter just naturally, because that's where the concentration of games are, right? There are a lot of shooters. There's a lot of platformers. There's not many fighting games. No, at least relatively speaking.
And so people find it very alien to play compared to picking up a new shooter or a new fighting game, which is fair, I think, and I think it's why a lot of people struggle with it. But and I think the more time you spend with it, the more it gets ingrained into your memory. Now, if I pick up a new game, I started playing Melty Blood recently, the first thing I'll do is go through, try every character's buttons, and see what their anti-airs are, what the combo starters are, the sort of hit stun the game has, if I can, what sort of chains I can do, if I can reverse beat, that sort of thing. Whereas a new player will think, I have no idea what I'm meant to look for, right? Yeah. What makes a good character? What makes new win?
When I much like saying, when I'm playing a new character, I'm like, ooh, what buttons are anti-air, right? What do I look for? If this, like I said, I'm just trying to find the basic moves. What's my poke? what's my anti-air, like, you know, that kind of stuff. What's my reversal optional or whatever, like, if you want to get that deep into it. But
yeah,
yeah,
these
like
things don't exist for your average player.
No.
And trying to instill them in people can be an awkward process. Like you said, if you've seen anyone play any video game for the first time,
yeah, I mean, yeah,
it's a weird feeling. Like,
yeah, like if you just get
no
your
one knows
parents
what they're
to
doing.
like, play shooter, like they're just gonna move around you, like why? It doesn't like connect with their brain, you know, right?
No.
Even if you are a video gamer, you know.
Yeah. Fighting games can seem weird.
Yeah,
like,
it's still the same concepts that are completely new, even if you've played fighting games before. Before.
One thing I've seen people say or like do, and it's probably quite a common one, is when they're playing a fighting game, they'll jump in and they'll attack as often as they can.
Yeah.
And it's because it's sort of counterintuitive that sometimes the best way to hit your opponent is to do nothing at all.
Yeah.
To a lot of people, that is going to seem like an odd thing.
Yeah, I think that's another hard part about fighting games. It's in a lot of other games, it's always your turn. It's just it's just always both your guys' turns, you know. Unless you play like literally chess, you know, or something like that, you know. It's like the concept of waiting, being like a strategy, is like really abstract in a lot of, you know, shooters and like a lot of other games in general. Just like because it feels like you should always be allowed to play the game.
Yeah,
but I think people
get frustrated there.
I mean, again, basic fighting game concepts, I think, like I said, they go over a lot of people. I think this is why, while there is an avenue to get better tutorials if you follow it like from an actual basic standpoint, rather than trying to teach you system mechanics, just throwing you in and being like, okay, here's your anti-air, here's your like normal, you know, here's what you do, like whatever. But what was I saying? Fuck.
Tutorials.
Yes. But I was saying something before that, but I lost my train of thought. It'll come back to me.
I'm sure. Yeah. I think. Oh, sorry. I don't know.
Sorry. But yeah, sure. Like I'll talk about tutorials anyway. But yeah, so like I said, rather than trying to teach you all the system mechanics, I think you'd get a lot more mileage out of like really teaching the basics. Like rather than, I feel like obviously you learn how to move around your character and stuff like that. Like in the real basic tutorials, like they teach you how to dash and stuff. But even stuff like that, it's not, as long as you know how to move left and right. You know, there's not really.
You're probably gonna be fine.
I remember my point: blocking, defending. So people think when you're defending, you're not playing the game. When that is like completely untrue.
It's
like
the
defending,
most
if anything, if anything, that's the one you're playing the game most. That's when you have to make the most decisions at any time. Is when you're defending,
absolutely.
Because obviously there's no like perfect guard. You know, there's always a way to get opened up, and your brain is needing to be racking through all those options. And that's why I actually really like playing defensively, because it, like, you know, it's really challenging and it helps you learn the most about a character.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
like if I'm playing against a character I've never played before, I will just sit and, you know, block for as long as
how
possible.
they open you up. Yeah.
Yeah, then that's what you like. But again, this is something that isn't tutorialized. You know, you get told how to block, but never why, like, or, you know, when it's appropriate, or, you know, why it's so important.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think, again, it's just natural for people to want to force their turn, right? I mean, I still get a bad habit of it, and I play fighting games a lot.
Yeah.
So
I mash out my 2As a lot, oh,
get up 2A, my favourite reverse
absolute best combo in the game. But yeah, it's an understandable phenomenon, and unfortunately I think sometimes there is no way around just banging your head against a brick wall. Like,
yeah,
a lot of people won't understand what their opponents are doing when they started. They will look at it and think, hang on a sec, why is this hitting me every time? And whilst that can be frustrating, taking it into training mode and maybe a good tutorial is the best option you have to sort of understand that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, make fighting game tutorials great again. That's what we need to do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, some of the best I've played are Skullgirls is amazing. Guilty Gear is amazing. Guilty Gears, I think, is particularly worth mentioning, because it goes specifically into teaching you things a character might do that might be opening you up.
Yeah.
And that alone, I think, is incredible for teaching.
Yeah, I think, yeah, like you were saying, I think that's amazing. Like Guilty Gear, I think they have like the best tutorial if you have already an idea about fighting games. I think it's a lot easier to visualize them like that way. And specifically, I think Guilty Gear does it amazing because you have the character-specific ones, and it's not just how to play your character; it's how to play against that character. And that's like amazing for someone who is new, and then they don't know what that character does, and maybe they got cheese like for an entire set, and they're like, "What the hell? How do I beat?" Like I don't know.
Like, you will not beat Potemkin unless you've done his tutorial. That character is gimmick central, and I love it. But it can be very frustrating if you're a new player, because his command grab is insane range, and he's got stuff like Hammerfall, which is an incredibly strong ability that people probably will at some point in their life have gone, hang on a second, I fucking hit him, and then get command grabbed when he YRCs.
Oh, yeah.
But it teaches you how that works. It teaches you how to beat it, most importantly. And it's just, the best fighting game tutorial I've played.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
wonderful.
I think, I don't know. I feel like tutorials only work to a certain extent. I think another problem with learning fighting games, I feel like the process of learning is a lot more involved. I think at least if you know you enjoy it and you want to get good. I think at a basic level, honestly, I don't think like. Obviously, the stigma that like when you're bad at fighting games and you go against someone who is better than you, there's nothing you can learn because you're just going to get bodied, you're going to get stuck in hit stun. But I think that's kind of a myth, right? I think I do get a bit of that. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. Even I, like I said, trying to learn BB tag. When I'm getting comboed and I get burst baited because I'm too antsy to get out of this hit stun, I'm like, I do feel like, oh my god, like there's nothing I can do. But there is, I know rationally, like, oh, I just need to hold my burst till he, uses support or whatever. I learn things every time I lose.
Definitely.
And so, if the best way to learn fighting games are just to play them against other people.
Definitely.
Like that's how we gotten good, I think, at them is like just playing each other like continuously day in day out. And then obviously as one of us improves, the other one has to match, and then it goes through like a back and forth like that way. And then that's how you get better at fighting games. I think it's one of the best ways. But people think like you have to sit in lab and lab your character for like 2 hours straight, like for an entire day. When in reality,
like
you go.
Sorry, if you think about like an FPS again, if you're getting rolled in an FPS, you're not getting a chance to play the majority of the game, right? You're not getting into a situation where you're going to use tools that you'd use in a proper match. You're just getting spawn camped.
Essentially. Like you still get to move around, you still get to aim, and you still get to shoot. But if you like never get a kill, like and you don't, it's not very clear as to why. Outside the guy just shot you before you shot him. But in reality, it's it's actually about how the map works, shooting angles, positioning, things like that. But it's so much harder to visualize. Whereas when some guy jump-ins on you, does a jump in on you, and you don't anti-air it, and you don't, you're crouch blocking. And you're like, oh, why'd that open me up? I'm like, oh, right, I just pause on blocking it, or I mistimed my anti-air, or it's very obvious, I think, but in other games it's not, which is why I think
by the time like an opposing team has like positional advantage on you in Overwatch or something, there's sometimes not a lot you can do as an individual to get out of that position. Whereas in a fighting game, in a fighting game, you've always got that chance to come back, always got the chance to understand where you've gone wrong, which is a big one. And it just sort of, the learning process is a lot more involved.
Specifically I think I'll use this as a segue to get onto our next topic as well, but I think in terms of like by being more involved, I also mean in terms of like you have to communicate with people, you have to interact with the people beating you up, you have to like just Discord groups, anything like that, just like forums, like I think Discord groups are like probably some of the best places because you can literally get specific people and be like, look, I don't know what this character does, can anyone like just teach me and then do some sets against me and then I can be a lot more confident.
Because everyone wants to play. That's the best thing. It's not a huge community. You will find people who want to play.
Yep. and it's honestly like so refreshing. I think it's a lot of people are just not used to that. You know, they used to just playing MMOs or not MMOs, but MOBAs and shooters where you literally just queue up, play, and then you either get bodied or you body someone, and you go next.
That's the day, yeah.
And you never really have to interact with anyone to learn, unless you like really get to like a top level, and then it becomes more necessary. But with fighting games, the learning process. That's why I find it so fun, is that it is a lot more involved, and you do have to go out and interact with people, and you do meet all these people that are amazing in the fighting game community, and they're all willing to help. And this is basically what I was trying to segue into, is just how much better the fighting game community is compared to like a lot.
Good.
Yeah, right.
Yes. All right, I know you've played a lot of Overwatch in your time.
Ooh,
and I know I've played a lot of Overwatch in my time. I don't really know why. I can't tell you a good reason.
The character designs, man. The character designs. It's McCree. Keeps me and Reinhardt keeps me coming back.
It's not a fun game. I don't like Overwatch. I don't think it's good. But I kept coming back, despite the fucking asshole community, despite the fact that people just got angry at each other for no good reason, despite the fact everyone is so toxic and just...
I'll tell you the worst offense though.
The worst.
The people who didn't interact at all. It's the people who don't, like, it's a team that you literally like have to work as a team. And the people who do not cooperate, don't respond, don't even talk in, like, they're not flaming you, they're not being mad, but at least if someone's flaming you, at least they care about the game. At least most of the time.
Yeah.
But it's all just like quiet, and you don't know. They could be just like trolling your ass, they could, and it's just
it's just nice a frustrating experience from start to finish. Like,
and
you don't have fun.
Are rare, much more rare than like bad ones. Like,
absolutely.
It seems such an abstract concept to me though, because in fighting games it's literally a one-on-one. This guy just bodied your fucking ass. He beat you into the ground. He should be gloating for all he cares about, because he won because he was better than you. Like, that's why he won. But instead, these people are willing to help you get better. They're like, you're literally my competition, but I will fight you over and over again until you learn what to do in this matchup. Even if that makes me lose in bracket, like in Evo, like 2 years down the line. It's just like, it's such an abstract concept, because it feels like team games should be much more like cooperative, much more like the community should be much like nicer to each other, because you literally have to play with each other. You're on the same team.
You don't have a choice.
You don't have a choice, at least most of the time. But you don't, like, and it's just so weird to me that the community's almost flipped. Like, obviously you get nice people in like, I think I'm always drawing parallels to like MOBAs and like shooters. You do get nice people, and it does happen, and specifically if they want to get better at the game, they'll generally be a bit more open-minded. But in fighting games, that seems like the majority. Whereas, like,
for sure,
obviously you do get salty people in fighting games. You do get people who might make you mad, and may like shit talk, stuff like that. Whatever. Like, that's just part of it. But it is definitely like a vocal minority than it being like the majority.
Yes, definitely. Like, oh shit, what's I gonna say? With something like Overwatch, I feel people trying to have to control a whole group of people to do what you need them to do not only can be difficult, but leads you to these situations where you either have to, like, no one wants to be told what to do, right? And you're going to have to tell someone what to do, whereas in a one-on-one fighting game, you are, for the most part, entirely in control of your destiny. And
I know what you mean.
It leads to a lot less tension, I guess. If you lose, it's your own fault. You can never be mad at someone for that. And
like, people do get mad, but those are the people who they are a bit more narrow-minded, and they do, like, maybe a character is cheap. I'm not gonna lie. They exist. There is Game & Watch is a character in Smash, and he is not real. But
fake ass character,
But they're not unbeatable. It's not like that bad, and anything that is really like unfair will generally be addressed at some point. And a lot of it is perception. I think that comes down to it a lot. Definitely. But in like you're saying, in these team games, sometimes your individual skill is not tested, and there's nothing you can do. Like I said, with Overwatch, I think it's probably the worst offender, because it is the one that needs the teamwork the most. You can't really carry. Like,
No.
you can to some extent, like, obviously, if you're like an actual pro and you're playing the bronze leagues, you know, you're gonna body everyone. You're gonna like, they can't hit you, but at least at
These
a
are people-
semi-competitive level, you need
Who
that
just-
coordination.
yeah. If you're playing at that level, you're playing against people who just have a fundamental misunderstanding of the game.
Yeah, and I feel
There's
like
no way.
if you got
just got-
6 players and each of them have a basic understanding, a fundamental understanding of the game, the real decider is obviously you specifically, like, because should be the outlier, right? Because it's technically a 5v6, and then you're the 6th person on the other team.
Yeah.
But sometimes there's nothing you can do individually. Specifically, like, I don't know, I like main Reinhardt, right? Like, when we played it a lot.
You're so reliant on everyone else.
Yeah, it is just.
It's a frustrating experience.
And if you can't, like, obviously, the way that you can put yourself above their 6th player is by leading your team, like, as like a tank and stuff like that. But sometimes that isn't possible. So
just it doesn't work. Like, there's not anything you can do, and it's frustrating. But not only that, yeah, people are just dicks for no reason sometimes. Like, and morale is such an important part of
it is
games like that you just lose because everyone's just angry from the start of the match because someone doesn't get to play a character they want or just plays poorly. Like, that's all it takes. Whereas here, yeah, tilt exists. You're going to get tilted in fighting games. Yeah, we've all been there.
It takes some mental fortitude not to get tilted, and
yeah,
you know, but it is just that. It is tilt. You're not toxic. You're not like a horrible person. You know, you might make a twit longer about you know, Rob or like I don't know, Akuma Street Fighter.
Yeah,
but,
it's
like, Rob. But like, it is an overreaction, and most people will go back on their word and be like, okay, yeah, like, I was just salty. And you need to get it out somehow. You need to get it out. I've been there, you know. I specifically playing BB Tag. There's, alright, I'm just gonna say, Heart is a dumb character, and I don't know how to beat her. But I've only had like 5 sets against her, and you know, there's nothing I can do. That's what it feels like, right? So it's natural for me to get salty. But obviously, it's just my lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So I think it's probably a good way to like. It's probably enough about the fighting game community, I think.
Yeah.
Unless there's specific people you want to like shout out and be like, okay, this is like very good, or like here's like a good, really great example.
Most content creators. I love Sajam. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah, shout out to Sajam. He is
absolute boss. I like from the Tekken community as well. Aris. I don't know if you know him.
Oh yeah, Aris. Yeah.
I think he's great. Yeah, Sajam in particular makes an awful lot of content about sort of what we've been talking about recently about why fighting games aren't as bad as people say, and
why
really
they're so
sort of
good and why more people should play them.
Yeah, he's a really good job at introducing people, and I love it. I think he does it better than anyone else.
He does a series on YouTube where he learns different fighting games, and he goes through the process of him learning it. And literally, even if you're new to fighting games, you can go through the same process. It might be a bit slower, but he literally step 1 plays the tutorial, step 2 picks a character, step 3 plays online, and then that's the 3 steps to the golden, you know, well, like to the top, I guess. But there's obviously a bit more deeper. He then goes on to like watching professional matches and stuff like that, like a bit more analysis. But that's if you really want to get up into like, you know, higher brackets and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of any other ones. I mean, Smash, I think, is okay. I think Smash is a part of the fighting community. I think it's just...
In a sense, yeah.
In a sense. I think it's hard because, you know, you don't really say the MOBA community do, but there are MOBAs within the... You know, there are lots of different MOBAs, you know, but it's the League of Legends community, it's the Dota community. I don't think they intermingle that much, and I think that's where Smash lies. I think while it is a fighting game, it doesn't interact that well with... Because it does have parallels, they do share mechanics, but
it's a different set of skills,
fundamentally
right?
different, yeah.
And I understand why there is sort of a divide between the communities in that they've never really interacted with each other.
Yeah, and they, like I said, even like
it's fine. Like, yeah,
same with League of Legends and same with Dota. There's never been a reason to. It is still a fighting game though, but it's just fundamentally at the core very different. At least, you know, for example, I mean, Guilty Gear, BlazBlue, they all got huge parallels. Even like, I mean, Street Fighter actually, I think it's quite different. It's quite a bit of an outlier, but I think it's because that was the core that fighting games were built around. It's naturally going to be like sort of the centerpiece.
Yeah, definitely. And I understand why a lot of fighting game players, they don't like having Smash at something like Evo, but
yeah, because
at this point,
it doesn't appeal, right? Because it doesn't look like a fighting game. It doesn't look, but it is.
You're not there to play it like another fighting game, but
no,
it fulfills a similar base purpose, and
it's still like that one-on-one experience where you're just trying to like, what are you just the fundamental skills in which you learn. While there is still neutral and stuff, they are just fundamentally different. Like,
yeah, definitely.
You still got anti-airs, but there's so many more options that it's not just as easy as someone's jumping in, anti-air them,
Yeah, definitely. But at this point, I feel the rivalry isn't really a thing now, and a lot of people are just fine with the other side of the community.
People play Smash, that's fine. If people play, anime fighters, that's fine. If people want to play Sailor Moon S, I mean, that's fine too.
The Sailor Moon game. Oh, I forget about that.
Yeah, I was literally watching. I think it was at Evo, or I can't remember. There was a recent tournament of it, basically.
Yeah.
I was watching the top 6, and I was like, "This is a dumb game. I love it."
It's just it's not very good. I mean, it is, but you don't want to play it.
Right, so let's get on to then. So, what is your favorite fighting games, right?
Ooh. My answer to this question has changed a lot over time.
Yeah.
At the moment, and for a little while now, I'd say Guilty Gear XX Ascent Core Plus R.
I need to play more of that game.
I love Plus R with passion. I think Guilty Gear is far and away my favorite anime fighter.
Yeah.
Every part of the aesthetic of it is just everything I love. It's hard rock, heavy metal, beautiful sprites, amazing animations. It's made for me. I think the actual fighting, the combat as well, is amazing in that it's offense oriented, as all Guilty games are.
Yep.
But with a really diverse set of playstyles among the cast, as well as a myriad of defensive options. And whilst I also love Zerd and that entire series of games, there is, I don't know, there's something different about Plus R. I think the sprites I like more. I love sprite-based games. I think it's got Anji in and Ordersol, which is two of my favorite characters in the series.
Well, it's got
Anji's my husband.
Game husbando right there.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Not only that,
I
but
can't blame you. Well, what if he ends up being Guilty Gear 20XX? Then it's insta nut.
Insta nut, yeah. Absolute perfection of a character. It's also got Justice in, which is one of the few true zoners that Guilty Gear has ever had.
Yeah.
I think really interesting idea.
Yeah, can't dash, big projectiles. It's pretty cool.
Very interesting character. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll say not just in design wise, but as in an actual gameplay wise, it's got some of the most unique characters.
Yes,
Guilty Gear's got some, by far and away, probably the most unique characters. Every Guilty Gear character is actually just plays
something different,
something else.
Yeah, I love it,
which is great. Makes it a bit difficult to learn, but obviously,
yes, it's on the harder end of the spectrum.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But it does a good job at teaching you, for sure as well. Tutorials are great.
You'll just learn what the characters do just by playing against them. It's just a longer process. It's not much you can do about it. But like you said, Guilty Gear is good in the sense of I think it knows it has that problem, and that's why they remedy it with the tutorials, the character-specific tutorials, and use that as a way to stopgap the learning process of learning individual character matchups.
Yeah.
So you have a basic idea of the matchup, but obviously depending on your character, it might be a bit different.
Yeah. The game also has very good momentum, and I think this is something that doesn't get talked about enough, is jump momentum and character speeds and
feel, the feel of movement or something.
Yes. It's...
I see what you mean,
I can't remember exactly how it works.
It does not feel floaty, but I get it.
Yeah. The game has a sort of a built-in momentum keeper, where certain attacks will add or take away from your momentum to a limit, and it lets you... It's a really weird mechanic. I can't remember exactly how it works, but it essentially lets you get different jump arcs based on your movement speed. It lets you get combos if you're sprinting that you wouldn't be able to get if you were just standing.
Yeah.
And I think it adds a lot to the game. I really do think it's noticeable once you know about it. I think it's a very, very cool.
A bit of an added depth,
idea.
Which isn't necessary, but it's kind of like alright, this is cool.
Yeah, it looks fantastic as well. As like the combos in the game are just some of my favorite in fighting games because they're all relatively unique. They don't last too long, which is a big deal. And they're challenging to do. Yeah, they're challenging to do still, which is very cool. It's just everything about the game is fantastic. Something I know a lot of people don't like or at least some people don't like in Zerd is YRC, is yellow Roman cancels.
Yeah.
But sort of the equivalent of it in Plus R is you have just Roman cancels in general, which is just 50 mana or 50 bar. Fucking hell.
Tension, come on, dude.
Oh yeah, 50 tension. And it just acts as any Roman cancel, really.
Yeah,
but certain moves have properties where
cancel
they have
points.
a 2 or 3 frame window where you can YRC it. You have 25 meter you can spend to cancel out the move. And it's cool. I think it's unnecessarily complex, but I don't think it's a huge deal.
Like I said, YRC as a mechanic, I'm not the biggest fan of. I think it's hype, but considering Guilty is already up there in the difficulty spectrum, I think it is just like, maybe for me at least, I quite like red RCs. I like, pub RC is just is a balancing mechanic, so that can go honestly. Like red RC is fine, like on hit to extend combos, but it's just like cancelling the whiff of a normal just seems kind of fishy to me in like fighting games.
At 25 meter,
especially at 25 meter. Yeah.
I think it should be 50.
At 50 meter,
I'm happy with it at 50.
It's okay in Exod. But maybe you do gain meter in that game like nobody's business. So,
I think that's sort of the point, right? That's why the momentum.
I mean, you literally get meter for walking forward, right? And
You build meter fast, you spend meter fast, and
that's why it's hard.
Keeps speed up.
It's fast. It's fast and hard, I guess. But once you learn, it's so satisfying.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, Plus R, like the reason I like it, I think more than Zerd in general, is just. Probably, just the aesthetic of it more than anything. I think the character designs in it, Zerd looks incredible and is one of the best looking games of its generation, but something about the pixel sprites and the more hard rock soundtrack that I just love. A bit grittier and dirtier looking.
Yeah, it's underrated, those soundtracks, man.
Oh
we'll have to do a whole episode on that shit, because like there are some banging tunes, let's just say that.
Oh yes.
Okay, I mean that's fair enough. I can't dispute with that. I think Accent Core, XX Core. Naming conventions for anime fighters. That's actually that's the difficulty level of fighting games. It's how to fucking say the name of the fighting game, not the actual gameplay. Anyway, but I think that's completely reasonable. I played it quite a bit. I need to play it more. I think my only problem is like none of the characters really appeal to me that strongly.
That's fair. Yeah,
that is my only problem. I like Order Soul. But I don't know, it's kind of weird. I really like Soul in Exerd, but not so much in Accent Core. But I don't know, that's just a preference thing. I can sort of still really enjoy the gameplay of it, but I just don't get the same enjoyment out of playing like the characters. Yeah, but like equally, I haven't messed around with enough of the characters, so I can't really comment on too much.
Yeah, I play more of Zerd because I think I've put the time in learning Zerd more than I have learning Plus R.
Yeah.
And there is Zerd, the way Zerd streamlines things that are quite niche in Plus R, I think is fantastic. Like, you don't have to learn where all the Force Roman councils are on moves. You don't have to, because you could just YRC instead. And it's the same outcome, and it leads to the same amount of depth, but you don't have to learn all of this
the frame data
technicality.
It's a lot less like information dump heavy.
Yeah. It's a difference between complexity and depth that I think it gets very right.
I think it's complex, but it's shallow. I think that's what the YRC mechanic in Accent Core is.
I disagree that it's shallow. I think it's about the same, but it's unnecessarily convoluted.
All right.
Like you have the same amount of
So maybe
sort
deep,
of
not very complex. I'm not really sure.
it's
I guess
same
it's deep.
depth. So like depth would be the number of gameplay outcomes you can get from a mechanic, I guess.
All right.
So like Roman cancels allow a lot because there are a lot of different options you can pick.
Yeah.
Whereas complexity is just simply the technical difficulty of doing something or the amount of technical ability required.
Yeah. I see.
So when I say it's more technical but the same amount of depth,
Yeah.
it means it's sort of like with L cancelling in Melee is a technical thing, but it doesn't add any depth to the game.
No. Okay. I see what you mean. Yeah.
So I'd say
there's no reason not to do it, sort of thing. Yeah.
yeah, it's just there for added inputs.
Yeah.
Whereas yeah, it's something
Okay.
like Roman cancels in Zerd. They're a lot. They add the same amount of depth to the game, but they're less technical, I guess, or less complex.
Yeah.
Because like the complexity isn't the important part, it's the depth. So that's why I quite like the Zerd model, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah, like I like playing Zerd more. I don't like playing it more, but like I know how to play Zerd more. And
Okay. Yeah, it is. It's one of those
still,
things.
like, both are fantastic games, and like I'd be happy to play either.
Oh, sure. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright,
But anyway, what's your favourite
yeah,
one?
my favourite one. This is a tough one. I got a soft spot for Blaze Blue since it was like my gateway drug, into the fighting game community. And I've always been in love with the character designs, and the sprite-based art is really amazing, and it's just there's something missing from the gameplay for me that is just a bit, that stops me from saying, oh, instantly it's my favorite. And I think maybe if BB Tag was instead a different fighting game, like I love the how it's got Persona 4 characters and Unis characters, and that's it feels like the smash of fighting games in that sense, or 2D anime fighters. It's super cool, but I have a bit of a gripe with double team games. But I guess I'll quickly just go over that, because I actually have been playing a lot of BB Tag recently. It's pretty much the only fighting game I've been trying to spend a lot of time with, and it's easily my favorite team game, and it's changed my opinion on team games quite a lot. I think if you want to make a team game, you should try and base it off of how BB Tag does it. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but basically, BB Tag feels like you're playing a 2v2, whereas something like DBZ feels like you're playing 1v1, v1, 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 v1.
I see what you mean.
It's very much you need to play with the other character. You need to it feels like the combat. You can use them very often, but you have to be really smart, otherwise they get counter hit and whatever, things like that. And you can literally have both of them out on the screen at the same time, which I'm gonna say is a mindfuck. But once you've watched it enough and you've actually played it, it's not as bad as it seems. It's still sometimes you have no idea how to block or where to block, but it is a system mechanic that isn't completely stupid, I guess is the best way to put it.
Okay, fair enough.
And like I said, I just really enjoy. I think it is simple. The combos are not exactly difficult.
Yeah.
And maybe a bit too long. But I think that's how they should be when, for example, you have to know how to play more than one character. In DBZ, you have to know how to play all three characters, because at some point you're probably gonna have to play them.
Yes.
And that's hard. It's hard enough on learning one character, how their neutral works, how their combo routes work, and it's muscle memory as well.
Yeah.
Whereas for BB Tag, the muscle memory is very similar for characters, and they have different combo routes and stuff they want to do differently, and different okis and things like that. But at least the smart combos is a really intelligent thing, and obviously BB Tag's got the auto combos as well. But I think smart combos work a lot better in BB Tag because they make the game a lot more simple, so you can pick up a character and just try it out on your team and see if it works quite well, and you'll get something out of the combos and stuff, and it's really easy to pick up a new character basically.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's should be the baseline now for team games.
Okay.
Obviously, you can have more complex ones. DBZ is obviously quite complex, and I think the way DBZ handles trying to sort of homogenize the characters is obviously by having the neutral be a much less emphasis on it.
It's very streamlined.
Yeah. Whereas the neutral's still a big part in in BB Tag, but the neutral is very much, like I said, a 2v2. Like, you got to use your supports intelligently. You know, each support has 3 different supports they can use, and they all do different things in different situations. And basically, it's a team game, and the complexity comes from the supports, which is exactly how it should be, I think.
Absolutely,
but
I agree.
There's still some problems I have with the game, but like for now, like that's my favorite team game. But I'm not the biggest fan of team games, so that's why I find it hard to say like, oh, it's my favorite fighting game right now.
Yeah, so that's fair enough.
I'm gonna move on from that because BB Tag is like, yeah, like I said, we can talk about it for a while. Also, one last thing, I can actually play my boy Naruto from BB Tag without having to dislocate my wrist. So yay! I can enjoy my character and not have to like learn how to learn how to break my wrist when I'm doing my dash cancels.
Yes, absolutely.
And then
I'd like. Sorry, you go on. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you want to add to it, because I'm gonna move on to my actual favorite game now.
Okay, I was just gonna say like, I really do like the way the team mechanics are implemented, and comparing it to Dragon Ball FighterZ, which is a game I adore.
Yep.
I think they've sort of the neutral in that game. Whilst I wouldn't say it's gone, it's more just different from other fighting games.
Yeah,
it's
I think
more based around.
Simpler, I think is probably the best way to put it. It is simpler, I think.
Yeah,
and like I said, I think that's their attempt to like try and modernizing like the difficulty to be a bit more accessible, considering you've got loads more elements having supports and stuff.
But at the same time, I'd say like what it's done is it's made the top level of the game so much different from the bottom.
Yes.
That a lot of it can seem kind of overwhelming. Yeah. Like in at the top level of the game, you're wanting to start your lockdown. You want to keep an assist for the combo, but use one assist in neutral to get your block starting or your block string started.
Yeah.
And it's a hard game. It's a really hard game.
That's my problem with like people. It is really hard, and it's kind of like it's not very entry level part of playing. Whereas I think BB Tag is quite entry level. Obviously you got the sport mechanics to worry about, but like I said, I'll add one more point. Is like I think again BB Tag does the team dynamic really well, because even on the defense, your burst option is literally pulling in the support character to help you out. And that's why it feels so much like a 2v2. And so even if you know you're gonna get burst baited, if your character's about to die, you can like pull in the full health character from the back and like sort of take the shot, right? And that's what I find really cool.
Yeah, I need to watch more of that game.
I mean, I think
it does seem
play
very
if you want
good.
as well. It's really good.
I don't actually have it.
Oh yeah, but you got my Steam games, right? You can.
That is true, actually. You can do it with
at least
Steam,
try it out.
right?
Yeah.
I like that.
But yeah, all right. So my actual favorite game, I think, is probably gonna have to be Unist. I think.
Yeah,
definitely one I played a lot more like recently, and it's got awesome character designs. I love the system mechanics. I think they work amazingly. They're really simple to understand once you know what's going on. And it's much more of a grounded game, a bit more I guess footsie orientated. There's not really much movement in the air specifically, but it's still really complex because of like the system mechanics that are in the game, and obviously grid and vorpal are like these little things that you can sort of ignore, but if you have a good grasp of the game, you can use those to your advantage, and like for example, just win a vorpal cycle, and then use that to like press your advantage, and then it's just I could go on about Unist forever.
Fantastic. Yeah.
And there's
Katsuki,
Akatsuki, who obviously Bitatsu.
Bitatsu.
That's the meme, but he's really cool. I really like his design. The combo routes all make sense, like logically. I think the reverse beat system in the game is really awesome. It does make the combos a lot more interesting and feel a lot more free flowing.
Yes.
Specifically, Akatsuki, I think his worked really well. Like reverse beating aerials to land with them to continue the combos, like really sick. But
I think for me, it's the perfect balance between traditional 2D fighters and anime games. It's got the sort of the grounded footsies based neutral of 2D fighters or of traditional fighters, which I love. I think it's fantastic. But it also has the sort of the combos and the stylings and
Yeah.
sort of the deeper mechanics of anime fighters. You know, you got the grid system. The Vorpal is genius. I think adds a whole new level.
But
to
it's
the game.
like having a shared resource between characters is like, I don't know why it's like, wow, it's such an amazing thing. Like, obviously in Dragon Ball Z, you got the Dragon Balls, but like you never see those. Like,
no.
But
like the big thing about it for me is that it turns blocking into sort of an offensive resource.
Yes.
It turns you can take more risks on the blocking and turn it into something that you can gain a benefit from, right? Which is something that other anime fighters don't really do.
They try to do, but yeah, it depends.
Like one complaint that anime fighters get a lot is that they are the sit and block simulator. Like you have to hold the defense for a long time, and you still do in Eunice. You know, a lot of characters have very good block strings, and a lot of the mix-ups in the game come from stagger pressure.
They're not real. Like a lot of the block strings, it is a mix-up in itself. Like it is staggered. It's it's trying to find like its time and space. Like you got to choose the right option still. And like I said, like because if they're sitting and blocking and they're shielding it because you're not mixing up your options, they're going to win Vorpal over time. And if they got Vorpal, you do something unsafe, they get full confirm on you. It's just like, wow. You know, because you can just react, you know, and do chain shift and get like a full punish. I just love it.
It's
I think
genius.
It's such a simple, elegant way of just turning a defensive play into like an actual offensive, like choice. And it's not even like it's overpowered, like as in playing defensively is super good. Because there's so many ways to outplay it, and like if you lose, like for example, if you try to shield something and you mess it up and you get grid broken, you literally could lose everything you work towards. Like you lose it all instantly, and it's just like the perfect punishment for sitting back and defending, and then your opponent like actually reading you and mixing you up. Yeah,
definitely. Like because most of the mix-ups in this game come from like stagger pressure, right?
Yeah,
and overheads.
I mean, there's not really plus buttons in the game, apart from very few characters have a couple plus buttons. But
like the plus frames come from chain shifts, right? Or
reverse beats. That's how you make them.
And there are 50-50 mix-ups in the game. Like I think off like the top of my head,
shifting, B-Tatsu.
Chain shift, B-Tatsu.
It's just high-low mix-up, 50-50. Like that's it.
What's the name? Wagner has a similar thing off of her B. Sort of dive forward move, I can't remember what it's called, where she can go overhead low, and that's risky, but it takes this resource that you've spent a long time building up to get.
Yeah, and that's an advantage you get, and you only get to use it once a cycle, so it like makes sense, right?
It's overheads are slow as hell in that game, which I think is a good thing, and it balances it so nicely. It's so much place for
it's really well
mind
games.
Games.
A big thing as well. There's very few characters that do feel very strong. I think Byakuya you could probably point to being as like maybe a bit too punishing, because
I'd say
his Vorpal trait's amazing, and then like he's got mad setups, and it's just like extremely hard to like get out of. Like he's the one of the characters that can truly put you in disadvantage for an entire game if you mess up. If you don't know how to fight against Wagner, she could do a similar thing. Oh yeah, I mean she's just like a. She's sort of gross. I don't like her. She's got a lot of good buttons, I should say.
Oh yeah, but for the most part, I like the way that pressure works in that game. I like that there's such an emphasis on picking your moments to get out of block strings. I like that mix-ups come. I like the block throw mix-up, and I like the fact that if you break a throw, you're actually plus on your opponent. I think that's really good design. Yeah, I think a lot of games do it neutral, but like I think, especially since throws in that game are quite punishing. If you get like normally you don't get full confirmed out of it. Yeah. But obviously because the shield mechanics in the game, and you try to shield something, you get grabbed, and you get grid broken. It's like it feels so bad, because not only like if you shield it means you can't tech. It also it does increase damage as well if you get grid broken. It's just like oh my god. It's nasty. Big boy damage time, but I guess that's like the risk, and that's why I think it's quite balanced. But there's that. Again, every character is so unique and amazingly designed. I love quite a small cast, but I think that works quite well. Yes, definitely. I think my only criticism of the game is maybe, as much as I love the art style, I have to say it doesn't look the best. It is a bit rough around the edges, I think. Like maybe it's a stylistic choice, I don't actually know. Yeah, but I love it, honestly. I think
Okay.
I think
don't know,
it's
I've just got
sort
like
of designed to be quite simplistic.
Yeah, I think
And sort of-
obviously it's by choice. I just get flashbacks to Infinite Worth, doing my IW as Akatsuki, Akatsuki, and then just seeing like the JPEG explosions in the background with Japanese writing in the back, and I'm like, like it looks alright, but I guess maybe I've just been spoiled by Guilty Gear and having Blaze Blue like Astral Finishers being the most over the top shit you could find. Like,
yeah.
and that's the thing. They look really good, and I think just in comparison, I think Unist has like probably it's like the least extravagant, and I think that's at least for me that's just my criticism.
Yeah.
I like anime fights to be extravagant. I like the big buttons. I like over the top, like actually destroying someone, and then like literally, then they blow up.
Yeah,
but without the JPEG explosions.
Fair enough. Yeah, like some of the supers in the game aren't particularly impressive.
No.
But, like that's sort of a personal choice, right? Like I'm not.
I don't think it doesn't knock the enjoyment
detract from the game.
Yeah, it is just like a personal gripe. Like
it makes me think what they could do with a bigger budget, though.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, what Clear's coming out? When? No.
It's like January or something.
January.
It's quite a while away, which is sad.
Yeah, but I'm hyped.
Oh, fuck
Even
yeah.
if they change like nothing and it's just the same game, but maybe Akatsuki gets like one new move, I'm gonna get it.
Same. Yeah, nothing could stop me from buying it at this point.
I think they are changing quite a lot though, which should be interesting.
Yeah.
Obviously, the core system mechanics stay the same, I think.
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting to see what they do.
Like each character's got new moves, which is sick, and there'll be a big balance patch, which is amazing.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
I wonder if they'll I wonder what direction they'll move it in. Is what
I think they're gonna add newcomers. I think they must do, right?
There's one at least, right?
Yeah, there's gotta be one.
We've seen the one, but we don't know.
Guest character, do you think? Oh no.
What?
Sorry, I can't hear you. 1 sec. I'm getting cold, and
good.
I am trying to turn it off. There we go. Jesus, I might have to edit that out. Alright, I'll have to do that down real quick. I mean, I think I'm gonna have to try and wrap it up in a minute anyway, because I'll head off soon.
Okay.
But alright, yeah. But yeah, so Clear, I'm super excited for. It's gonna be great.
Absolutely.
I don't know, man. How do I spend all this money on fighting games? Honestly, that reminds me.
I mean, you've just bought your new stick, right?
Yeah. That's good.
Ooh, it is quite expensive. We need to get a job for that soon. Just for fighting games.
Oh yeah, just to fund your
addiction.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I like that. In Unclear, I think we'll get probably 2 new characters. We've seen the one, and he looks fantastic. What's his name?
What, Guilty of the?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Eunice, or the next Under Night game.
Oh right.
What's his name? I can't remember. But he's very, very cool. Okay. I liked his design a lot. The Ice King. What's his name?
Oh, yes, I know what you mean now. Sorry, wasn't Ice Queen? I don't know.
That's a dude.
Oh, was
but
it?
He was.
Okay.
Yeah, he was very
it
cool.
Like questionable. Would you smash?
Most of I probably would, but most of the guys in that game are very what's the word? Androgynous looking, which is muy bien.
Yes. Oh, in Unio, in Unis.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh.
Very true.
A game I forgot about that probably is worth mentioning is the new Samurai Showdown game.
Ah, yes. I still have yet to play it. Right. So, what I was saying about I love big brain plays and, like just reading your opponent upside down. I think Sham Show just embodies that. And that's something I love about it. That's why it's like my kind of game, And that's why I wish it just comes to PC already, I can't.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
Did you ever play Sam Show Fight?
Yes. I played it like very little though. Not much.
Yeah. That's a big brain game. There's a big brain game where it's very slow neutral, and then there are sort of bursts of movement, and I love that. That's a game sort of combat style I love.
Yes.
But the game's characters are all very different from each other, very unique, and it's a very difficult game to play. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's just that's a fantastic game. I love it.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Like I said, I just wish I could play a new one already.
Yeah. because I don't have a PS.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to shoot off.
Yeah.
I had plans, and it was unfortunate. This is like the only time we could get to record. But
Sure,
hopefully,
we'll find another
it
time
won't
soon,
be.
yeah.
It won't be too long before the next one. So hopefully, I can get this one edited and uploaded. And this time, I should be uploading it to other various podcasts. I guess websites. I'm not sure which ones yet. I'll have to look around. But it'll definitely be up on YouTube again.
Nice.
Which reminds me, we might have to record some gameplay at some point. Or I mean, I think I've still got some in the back I can use, but we'll see.
Okay.
But yeah, so thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Again, sorry about the delay between the two episodes. And I hope that the audio quality is a lot better in this one, and that you can actually listen to what George is saying without him cutting out every like 30 seconds.
Hooray!
Yay! And then that I don't have my voice with a fan on in the background, and you can just hear the fan. Oh god, I had to do so much sound editing to even just make it sound alright. No.
God.
Anyway. But yeah,
Right.
it's been good. It's nice talking to
You-
you, Law
nice
or
to hear
George,
you.
whichever you prefer.
Ooh, George, yeah. Right.
Yeah, thank
We
you
will
for
see
listening.
you guys again soon.
Yeah. See ya.
Bye.